Good morning. My name is Sharon Whiteman, and I'm a part of the executive team of the Lyme Disease Association of Australia, and I'm a Lyme patient. I got bit by a tick on the Sunshine Coast out in the hinterland by Pomona in 2002. I was immediately sick with flu-like symptoms. I had a bullseye rash at the tick bite site within hours, and I had this impending feeling of doom. It was like just like, oh my God, like this terror and doom feeling. I'd never had anything like that previously. I got up and I researched it. I'm a retired clinical nurse specialist. I have 3 certificates in multiple areas of critical care. And all I could find, unfortunately, I didn't investigate further, but all I saw was that these tick bites are rarely fatal. So I just went to bed and continued to treat myself like I had a flu and supported my immune system. I did not connect that tick bite with the subsequent complete decline in my health over the next 3 years. And no doctor ever asked me about a tick bite history. I was sick for 4 years before I diagnosed myself because my friend pointed out online information of the significance of a bullseye rash. I ended up meeting a US doctor at a meeting through colleagues here in Australia, and he suggested I send my blood overseas to be tested for Lyme disease. In 2007, that came back positive. So between 2002 and 2007, I'd seen over 20 doctors. I had been maligned, I'd been kicked out, I'd seen so many GPs. The 3 main symptoms were fatigue, significant weight gain. I gained 25 kilos, and I'm a very healthy eater and I don't eat very much compared to others. I had elevated liver enzymes. In the those first years, I saw infectious disease specialists saying that there's no Lyme in Australia, a gastroenterologist, a cardiologist, an endocrine specialist, an integrative GP who actually stood up and kicked me out of the office. I had brain scans, CT scans of the abdomen, stress echo, extensive blood and urine and stool specimens. My GP was compassionate but distancing, and she'd run out of any ideas. And with the health policy in Australia, they're not encouraged to learn about the illnesses that arrive via ticks. I was recommended antidepressants multiple times by multiple doctors. By 2005 to 7, I was critically ill. I could no longer walk unaided. I could make it about 10 steps if I hung onto the wall. I had very low energy. If I squatted down, I couldn't get up by myself. I had excruciating pain from head to toe. I was incontinent, both of urine and stool. I had muscle weakness. I could no longer lift my leg to put my foot into pants to get dressed. I was short of breath. I could only say 1 or 2 words before taking another breath. I had loss of memory, I had loss of vision, multiple things. It was endless. And I actually, even though we just had our first child, I'm in a same-sex relationship, my partner had the baby, I had a suicide plan because I couldn't endure the torture any longer. And I could see no hope. I had nowhere to go. Interestingly, I had a doctor that was trying to help, but he spent a year doing tests, and he was a very alternative GP, and he never took action to treat me. On reflection, I know why. At that time, he gave me a SPECT scan as a SPECT scan of my brain. And he told me at that time that it was 8 out of 10 in severity of changes, indicating severe cognitive incapacity. He said it was only my pure determination and intellect that was allowing me even to have a conversation with him. Now, I had a chance meeting with another Lyme patient. He said, let's go out for coffee. I know something that might help you. And he told me about a very alternative protocol that had been developed in the US from Lyme patients who didn't have medical care. And basically it was, vitamin C and sodium chloride. And I took that at very high doses over the next 3 years, feeling like I had nothing to lose. And in a stair-step fashion, I returned to quality of life. The symptoms remaining are fatigue, cognitive decline. My executive function is very poor, and probably if I had the courage to go to a doctor, I'd probably qualify as having dementia. I think it's 2023 now. I've endured those symptoms, and I think in 2009 I met up with a small group of women. There's 5 of us saying we got to do something about this, and we together created the Lyme Disease Association of Australia. My partner had another pregnancy and subsequent twins after that, so I withdrew and only worked in the back behind the scenes with them. But in 2010, I reached out to the people who had taken on the Lyme Disease Association, moving it forward, and said I could volunteer behind the scenes. I've been volunteering since that time, and in 2012, or January 2013, the current president, Nikki, decided that she needed to resign for family reasons. And I took over as president at that time and have continued since that time. I'm driven to help people. I see suffering in our inbox every single day. I am particularly driven against injustice. Having a healthy medical background, I can see what is happening is wrong. I don't currently have a doctor. Luckily, I have medical PTSD, and I cope by that. I look at reflection. I've been coping by just going to a different doctor every time and not even telling them the whole story or only part of the story, and just doing, I have a thyroid issue, so getting scripts, so getting the necessary. I don't let them treat me. I don't let them do anything with me. And I just endure my current state of disability. But recently I had a GP by chance who, she said something to me, and I knew that she knew that she's overseas trained, and she knew that tick-borne diseases were an issue in Australia. So I now maintain with that doctor, but I don't ask anything of her that would risk her career, because I know the health policy and the regulatory bodies are weaponized against doctors that treat this issue. I also have 3 children, and my partner had a different tick bite on that same property that we lived at, Pimbaran, and she had a different rash. It was a patchy rash, and it was cyclical. Her symptoms are different, but we both came back positive from that US lab for Borrelia. I believe her species is a relapsing fever version, and mine probably is the Borrelia burgdorferi. We now have 3 children who are at risk of congenital Lyme. Our eldest is 16, and we have 13-year-old twins. The eldest seems to be doing okay. They all had bicillin during pregnancy because we still had a compassionate and supportive GP in 2007 and 2009, but we don't have any medical care for them now. One of my twins has gained weight, is very chronic fatigue, is only coping with 4 days out of 5 at school, and has a lot of pain and a chronic sinus issue, and a recent CT scan showed that he has a mass almost filling his left sinus. Now that could be infection, but it won't be evaluated here properly because of the bias and the denial of tick-borne diseases. My daughter is very healthy, very strong, works with horses, but has a late onset ADD type symptoms. I recently took her to a pediatrician because I thought she needs help, because they were school captains in year 6. They're high A, B students, very academically focused and compliant. And in year 7 and 8, she's having trouble coping. She's having trouble organizing herself, coordinating her thoughts. She's all over the place. This pediatrician that I went to told me, the conclusion was, to make a long story short, that if she actually had ADD, she would have this statement in her year, a certain statement, she'd be able to see this certain statement in her year 3 report card, and a certain statement in her year 6 report card. And because this is late onset, she has anxiety, not ADD, and that she couldn't help me. As part of our May awareness at the Lyme Disease Association of Australia, I try to interview different international experts offering hope to Australians sick with Lyme and associated diseases. This year, by chance, I interviewed 2 international pediatric specialists, one a Lyme pediatrician and one was a Lyme pediatric psychiatrist. Both of them very clearly indicated in their interviews that late onset ADD is a hallmark sign of tick-borne diseases. So we're really in trouble in Australia. I pray for patients every day. I help them every day. We probably get 60 to 80 into our inbox monthly of people seeking help. I have someone in my inbox right now, a mother of a 6-month-old who got a tick bite last December and had multiple bullseye rashes all over his body. And luckily, I was able to convince a doctor to open his books and treat that baby. But he's in the inbox again today with another rash and a flu symptoms, which in any other country that's aware of the dangers of tick-borne disease would require treatment again. I'm now begging for treatment for her. I don't think I'll be able to help her this time, and I'll be sending her to naturopath. So I guess I have multiple issues with the current health policy. I've been lobbying government, I'm lobbying senators, I've been working tirelessly and volunteering at much, I wouldn't do it any other way because this is wrong. And obviously our family is impacted, but we're about to lose our house. We've been impacted on every single way. I've had no income for well, it was 20 some years since I've had this, and my income, I have little income. So one income family with 3 teenagers just doesn't cut it. I believe all of our human rights are being violated on multiple levels. As a matter of fact, I had a tick bite patient reach out to me recently who I supported in submitting submission to the Disability Royal Commission. And as part of that process, they're offered support. Submission, he identifies 6 violations of human rights just in her story. So I think it's a dire situation. If you can help us, it would be fantastic. Thank you for listening this far.